Hello there, and welcome to another episode of the Poppycock podcast, where the topics kind of matter this time, but I'm still not an expert. As always, I'm your host, Frames Janko, the dollar store knockoff of James Franco. Now, your fun fact for this episode is that the poison dart frog is in fact not poisonous when raised in captivity. Its poisonous secretions come from its diet and its natural habitat, mostly consisting of animals and bugs that are already themselves slightly poisonous. So when processed through their bodies, you can imagine what that does. Meaning that you could own a dart frog and a dodge dart, and neither one of them is likely to kill you, unless there's like a recall about the dodge dart that I'm unaware of. But hey, I think the dodge dart is a cute little car. So yeah, just make it poison dart frog themed, and you've got a whole weird. You'll be that guy. You'll be the dart frog guy. Yeah, well, it doesn't really matter. Now, this topic, it has heroes and villains. It has legal battles. It has children rallied in an army against a monopoly. It is the lamest cyberpunk story that you have ever lived through. And, well, it's still unfolding to this day. So, I actually already recorded an episode about this, but then new stuff came out about it, and I didn't want to put it out a week later with old news. And normally I don't cover news stuff in audio form. That's more of what goes on our website, poppycock.video.blog. But it's just so wacky and it ties into so many things right now. It's actually kind of big enough to talk about. And once this is all resolved, we can look back on this and remember the state of insanity that was the summer of 2020. So, Apple. They are a brand that's known for the creative types, you know? Yeah, their devices are a bit more expensive than they should be, and their whole idea of the user doesn't know what they want until they're given it doesn't always work out. However, when they removed the headphone jack because they were the only company brave enough to do it, that's kind of the standard now. As much as we don't like it and as pretentious as what they said was, it's true. In order to cram more technology into that thing, they had to get rid of you know, the port that allows you to plug in the headphone jack. So, in a way, they were brave because they knew that they had enough brand support that they could pull a stunt like that. And once they took the beating, we're a couple phone generations beyond that now, and everyone just kind of accepts it. Although there are still a few flagships out there sporting the headphone jack, and to you, we salute you. But this case may go a bit differently. You see, well, we'll start off with the Fortnite side of things before we bring it into Halo and Microsoft. Apple really likes to control its environment. It's called a walled garden effect. The idea is that you create products that are so well integrated and they work so lovely and it's so fun to use them that you never even consider going elsewhere for your technology. You don't think about going and getting a Chromebook. You don't think about getting anything Samsung or Sony is making. No, you have an Apple product. Do you want to text people from your computer? Well, you need a MacBook for that. Do you want a watch that has more integrated apps and a stronger operating system than anywhere else? Well, then you're going to need to get an Apple Watch. I mean, it's waterproof. It has, honestly, the best thing it does is it taps your wrist with it, increasing intensity and speed the closer you get to an exit while you're driving. So you don't even have to look down at your phone while you're changing lanes. It's like having someone helpful there to just nudge you and say, hey, you're getting closer, honey. And to not get distracted on their phone when you're going to see their parents and you're already really tired and maybe you don't want to go visit them. Why can't you pick it up tomorrow? They're nice people, but let me sleep. It doesn't matter. That's what the Apple Watch can do. So, of course, it's like a hive mind that all connects and each little device represents a different part of it, meaning that your phone, your computer, your laptop, all of this stuff can just sort of integrate into one super device that you wear, almost making you the connective tissue between all of it. It's a very interesting experience. But it's come back to bite them. I mean, the concept has been present since Steve Jobs was there, but now the world is changing. And what Apple is doing is really easy to paint them as the bad guy, although I don't know if that's necessarily the truth. So I'm going to present to you what's happened and let you come to your own conclusions, unlike every major news broadcast ever. So, basically, the Fortnite aspect of it. Fortnite introduced a new direct payment method in their iOS version of their game, which violates Apple's term Like, you can't do that if you're an Apple there. Like, their terms of service, you're not allowed to do that. So they booted the app from the App Store because it violated their stuff, which again is within their legal right. Fortnite then said, well, you suck. It began parodying their previous commercials and stuff to try and make them look like a very Orwellian controlling infrastructure. And then within their game of Fortnite, players would see on their map a big thing telling kids to tweet with a hashtag and to boycott Apple because it was an evil monopoly conglomerate. Basically, in a cyber world, you received a secret message that only an elite group could have, in this case mostly 13-year-olds, in order to help them be equipped with the knowledge and the words and the ways to strike at the enemy, the monopoly conglomerate that they hate the most, until freedom is given to their side. If that doesn't sound like a really, really sad cyberpunk novel to you, well, trust me, it sounds like one. As a fan of the genre, it's easily the lamest cyberpunk we could have possibly lived through, and here we are. Although, it is interesting because technically they violated the terms of service, so they are in the wrong because they broke the deal, essentially. And I can understand that, but it's wild that they would make something to try and turn all of these people against Apple. And that's not where it ended. They did something that, I mean, it's pretty smart, if I'm being entirely honest. And again, I know people, they'll bag on Fortnite, they'll rag on it. I tried playing it, I never really got into it. Like, during the first few months it went free to play with the Battle Royale mode. I'm kind of okay at it. I'm sure I'm trash at it now because it's been years. But the art style is pretty well done, and it's the only game where you can play as both Batman, Black Manta, Aquaman, I think maybe Queen Mira, and you can also play as like Black Widow, and I'm pretty sure Iron Man and Captain America is coming, and I want to say that Thor is on there, but I can't say for sure. It's the only Marvel vs. DC game that exists right now officially, which is a pretty wild experience. And look, they're kids. Of course they like the thing marketed at their demographic. It's silly to make fun of kids for liking something that was made for kids. We're not supposed to like it as adults. And if you're a kid that doesn't like it, then hey, good for you. You have a different taste. It's fine. Because, like, we liked silly things as kids. I watched Subumafu. It was dumb. So, anyway, I want to say that I'm not going to be here to rag on Fortnite. I'm glad that it exists as sort of a corral to keep as many 13-year-olds in it as possible so they're not in the game lobbies that I'm playing. But, I understand if people are mad at it. I just think it's kind of silly to get mad at people's preferences in games. Unless they're trying to tell you that The Last of Us Part 2 was like an actual masterpiece, in which case you're out of your fucking mind. So, Fortnite went and they split their game into two separate games. One game, which is on the Nintendo Switch, PC, it's on the Xbox, PlayStation, I think even on the Android version of things, will continue to receive updates and will continue to get new seasons. The new one, I believe, is actually Marvel-themed, which is smart. Marvel makes a buttload of money. Kids love that crap. And I know they just did an integration with the new Avengers game, so you'll be able to have Hulk hands or Hulkbuster hands in the game. I don't know what gameplay use they have, but you can do it. And so now if you're playing on those platforms, you're all good. However, if you're on the Apple side of things, you can have the game again, but it will essentially never receive another update. At least not if things remain the way they are between Apple and, I believe it's Epic Games that made that made Fortnite. EA and Epic get mixed up in my noggin. I'm actually kind of dyslexic, so the fact that this is at all coherent, kind of a miracle. And it's a weird thing to be going on, because they're basically saying, yeah, look, we're not going to bail on you. You can still have Fortnite, but if you want good Fortnite, maybe tell your mom to sell your iPad and give you a new Pixel Slate or like a Samsung tablet, And it's a weird way of saying that if you want the superior experience, you have to trade in the devices that used to be the premier device. And for most people, it still will be. For people who really love the ecosystem, that playing Fortnite is not going to be the thing that changes them. But if you're a parent who is looking to get an iPad for your kid, and now your kid says that he would be happier with a cheaper alternative, you're going to have almost no reason not to buy that version instead. So this could genuinely begin to impact the way that Apple's sales work, especially during a lockdown where some people are having to do their elementary school and middle school and even high school stuff from home, at least for half a day or for an entire day. A lot of different school systems are doing different methods of this, meaning parents may have been getting new devices for their kids to do schoolwork on already because it's their way to Skype into their video classes or Zoom meeting or whatever. So, in a time when Apple could have seen a huge uptick, it may have just had some of the wind taken out of its sails, which is kind of brilliant. Like, you don't have to really pick a side to be like, ooh, that's a good move. It's the reason you can watch Star Wars and think Darth Maul has some pretty sick moves. He's not the good guy, but that was pretty slick, you know? So, it's interesting. Let me pull up the article that I was looking at. Yeah, the hashtag that they tried to go is free Fortnite. Um, wow, there's a anti-Apple cosmetics and real-world swag that you can get now. Uh, if you go against Apple, hang on, I gotta try and find one of these things. A judge refused to grant a temporary restraining order against Apple on the basis, yeah. So Apple is currently free and clear as far as legal terms are concerned. They are not gonna have any issue. So yeah, Epic official announcement is Apple is asking that Epic revert Fortnite to exclusively use Apple payments. The proposal is an innovation or an invitation for Epic to collude with Apple to maintain their monopoly over in-app payments on iOS, suppressing free market competition and inflating prices. As a matter of principle, we won't participate in this scheme. You, as a mobile device owner, have the right to install apps from sources of your choosing. Software makers have the right to freely express their ideas and to compete in a fair marketplace. Apple's policies take these freedoms away. The only way that could be better is if they had Fortnite Captain America deliver that. That is, wow, this is truly a unique. Wow, I gotta pull up this anti-Apple Fortnite swag. I might actually have to buy this ironically because this is so stupid. In-game tournament with anti-Apple prizes. There we go. Oh my god. So free Fortnite Cup, the 23rd of August. So I guess that already passed. But the villain is in a gray background, wearing a suit with an Apple face and what looked like Agent Smith from the Matrix sunglasses on. And it's mirroring the 1984 Apple commercial, which was way, way back in the day, where a guy or someone ran up and smashed a screen with a sledgehammer, and it was like, Apple Computer Company, blah, blah. That is bananas. And then free Fortnite, there's an image released, and it says free Fortnite in the classic Apple font with the Fortnite llama done up in the same style as the original Apple logo with the sort of rainbow design going on it. And but instead of an apple, it is, of course, the head of a llama against a stark white background. They're really actually doing a pretty good job of mimicking classic Apple design. This is truly interesting. So obviously it's a big pissing competition between two already wildly wealthy companies. So it's not like the rogue wild scallions are like, we gotta go up against a big bad guy. They're both making stupid amounts of money regardless. But it is interesting because, I mean, they make a good point that in order to use the in-app payments through Apple, Apple would be getting hypothetically a cut of that pay. So maybe it would hike the prices up for players. So basically they're saying we don't want to have to pay, like protection money to the Apple mob to be on their turf. It's very interesting. So yeah, you can draw to your own conclusions. Does Apple have the right to set the rules and make sure everyone plays by their rules if they're on their devices? I mean, they are their devices. It's a brand that they built up that has a huge following, a huge base, and creative people and fun people, and in some cases, most of the time, tablets. They kind of kick everyone else's butt in product, and the price is reflective of that. So do they have the right to control who does this, or are they being bullies and now they know they have a sort of monopoly on the area, and now they're going to start squeezing people to only use their stuff? I think really I could be convinced either way with more information, but it is at least a very interesting pissing match between a super corporation and another very prominent gaming company who was weaponizing children and, by extension, their parents against Apple. And it's sort of this whole idea that's actually been growing, the idea that Apple has created this world where everything they make is so great that you don't need to get outside of their walled garden. But now the walled garden, the leaves are starting to die, and it's starting to feel more like a cage. And that transfers over into the Windows side of things. You see, you may have heard of something called Project xCloud, and Project xCloud is a pretty interesting idea that basically you could play your Xbox games on your phone on the go. Now, there's been a version of like screen mirroring and stuff for PlayStation, Xbox in the past, but this would be kind of different. Now, let me read the official description here by Microsoft Xbox. In the name of Phil Spencer, I summon thee. Oh, that's not a description at all. It's just a really pretty looking website. Okay, clicking through. Cloud gaming beta with Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. Play over 100 games on your Android mobile phone or tablet from the cloud with Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. Discover new favorites, pick up and play. Play great Xbox games in more places than before. Play 100 plus games on your mobile device, whether you're at a cafe, at home while your TV is in use, or anywhere else with high-speed internet connection. Get access to over 100 quality games on Xbox console, Windows 10 PC, Android mobile phone, or tablet. They're really pushing, I believe, is the new Samsung, whatever the new Samsung is. They're really pushing that is a good place to do this. Play together and discover your new friends and best games. Getting started, you need Android version 6.0 or greater and Bluetooth version 4.0 or up. Xbox Game Pass, which is available with Ultimate memberships, can be bought on the Samsung Galaxy Store or in Google Play. Compatible with an Xbox wireless controller with Bluetooth, 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi or mobile data connection of 10 megabytes per second download, and you've got access. And they have all these new peripherals that slap it on, make your phone look like a bit of a like a Nintendo Switch, like the Razer Kishi over here. They got Moga mobile gaming clip that snaps to your Xbox controller that you can slap your phone in, and essentially you're being able to stream your Xbox games. You log in on an app on your phone the same way that you would on Xbox or on PC. And it gives you access to, as they said about a million times, there are 100 plus games on Xbox Games Pass and other things that will allow you to play the game on your phone. So you don't have to be near your Xbox to play your Xbox. And that's a pretty great thing. Now, you may have noticed that they said on Android phones and tablets, because, again, Apple's walled garden strikes again. They like to control what is going on in their platform. And this is something that is going to touch on again in the next episode. And it's that if a service wants to stream something to their device in every game, you can't just say the Xbox Game Pass streaming app has been approved by Apple and then you can play all the games within it. You have to certify every single one of those 100 plus games as its own app, which means someone might have to download each one of those apps to just use the Game Pass app, which is insane, obviously. The xCloud app, that is. And while, yes, I think the previous question between Fortnite and Apple, it was an idea of like, okay, well, are they abusing their power or are they being fair about it? Is what's going on? This is a little bit more, they are intentionally trying to slow down their competition. And it makes sense because it's their infrastructure and they have their own thing called Apple Arcade, which by and large, if I'm being entirely honest, they're just really high-grade mobile apps that you can install on your devices. They are fun. Some of them are really, really cool ideas, really cool gameplay, great graphics, cool art design. Real thought has been in this. This isn't just a quick cash grab. They've put time and effort into making this work. But they are limited by the hardware around them. Whereas if you were using Project xCloud to play your games, you're streaming the game. So it isn't running off of the graphics card or the graphics capabilities of your phone. It's running off of something else entirely. Same thing with Google Stadia. The app is running on a Google server farm that is way more powerful than anything us normal people will ever be able to buy or set up or have the infrastructure for. And they're constantly maintaining them and upgrading them So you streaming a game to your device, you could play a game that came out maybe a year ago that looks, pretty good for its era, and then 10 years from now, you could be playing the top game there, and you're just clicking through different things like you're clicking on videos on Netflix, but you're selecting a game and immediately booting it up, so you have a one-stop shop, which Xbox has also done an excellent job of curating because they are wildly backwards compatible. Now, this is a case where I think it's a little bit more obvious that Apple is being a douche because they don't have a streaming service, but they do have a game platform now, or a bunch of mobile game apps. And a lot of gamers now are mobile gamers, whether they want to be or not. You're just on the go. Maybe less so now in 2020. The mobile gaming world is a lot bigger overseas, and like the Asian peninsula of like, there's just way better internet, and so it's a little bit more feasible to play higher end games and do it on the go. And there's also, the overpopulation, so everything's a little bit scaled down. And it just, because of the culture and the technology, it works super duper well. In America, it's also growing, but at a much slower rate because we have a much larger amount of area, not as much overpopulation. Although, if you ask me, when traffic time hits, it's still not great. And so there are a lot of mobile gamers, and kids love mobile gaming. I mean, it's not just kids. A lot of people, different demographics do, but let's be real. Your kid won't shut up. They're supposed to start doing school 2 weeks ago. Instead, they're staying home all day. Adderall subscription or prescription hasn't been refilled yet. So you slap a tablet or a phone or something with games on it in front of them, and you shut them up for a couple hours, and you get some dang peace for yourself. Thank God, right? You'd think, wouldn't you? No. Because now your kid wants to play Halo on their road trip to go see grandma, and you can't because you have an iPad and you can't stream that. However, his buddy Tyler, well, he has the new Pixel Slate, and he can stream all that Xbox stuff. He has the new Samsung Galaxy Fold or whatever, the new Samsung Edge Plus 8 526 420 edition. And he can play the new Fortnite with all the updates, and he can play the Master Chief Collection, and he can hop on Gears of War, all while you're driving. And what's great is that modern cars are being built in with, like, routers, essentially. So you're basically traveling in a tiny apartment, making connecting to these platforms even easier and even more commonplace for people on the go. It's not just luxury SUVs anymore. It's trickling down, the same way that now backwards or backup cameras are becoming more commonplace. And back in the day, yeah, maybe your parents were lucky. Maybe you had an SUV or a minivan that had the little TVs that would come down. They're like the size of like a shoe, incredibly small. You get crazy eye strain. Everyone's getting car sick. You can't see it from the back. Maybe you have headphones that you can plug into like around in a seat and you can hear it. It's rough. Or you don't have it and you have to have it installed. I remember riding an SUV that had a literal CRTV, like the big tube, sitting right in between the middle seats of it, and so the back seat could really see, the middle seats could see it a little bit, and the front seat you had to recline all the way if you wanted to see it. And that was the way it was. I also remember riding around in the minivans with the sliding doors that looked like the clone trooper deployment ships from Star Wars. Those were rad, and if I ever have a child, mine will have the cool shark paint on it and the blue stripes, just like in the Star Wars Clone Wars Samurai Jack version of things, because it's just like the simulations. Come on, brother! My Kiwi accent isn't great. A D. Bradley Baker, I am not. Haha, that's the voice of the clones in the animated series. Also Tamora Morrison, obviously. Also, D. Bradley Baker was the voice of the Gravemind in Halo, which brings us back to the fact that if you want to play those things, you can't do it on an Apple device because they want to push Apple Arcade. And again, in an era where people are being stuck with their kids a lot more often, this could again undercut them a lot. Or if you're someone like me, or longtime friend and listener of the show, Adam, my Shanghai brother, we love Xbox. We love the Microsoft games. We love Halo. We love Gears of War. There's just a lot to love. Forza, I love me some Forza. So, like the new Forza has like a Lego expansion where you go to like the Lego world and has the Everything is Awesome song playing. It's super fun. Forza is just, man, it's such a simple game. It's just a racing game. But it's so fun. They got Top Gear on there. They got rally racing. I don't need to sell you Forza. Forza's amazing. Forza sells itself. But if I want to play those, if I wanted to play that on my phone, I would have been a crazy person. But now that's an option. Like, it's going into beta now, but within the next year or so, It's going to be pretty commonplace to have people playing Halo on their phone, sitting on a plane, on a subway, back of an Uber, whatever. You've got time to kill in between class or waiting on a doctor's appointment or just in between job searches because our world and economy are a dumpster fire. You now could be playing the games that you love with your buddies on your phone. That's awesome. But not if you're on an Apple device. And this is one of the big reasons, and my wife is going to be really mad about it because I was the one who converted her to Apple things because when I was going into my degree plan, everyone I knew used Apple products, and if we wanted to transfer files, I needed to be within the infrastructure. Here I am now with an Apple Watch, recording things on my iPhone, and editing the videos on my MacBook. It works for that. But if I want access to the games, which is fun, sort of like the candy after a long day of work, what if we're stuck at our parents' house again? And I'm like, I really want to play a game. My buddies are hopping on. Now, I could hop on my phone and do that. That's a pretty cool step in the future, but not with my current phone. And it's one of the reasons that hopping to the Pixel line of phones has seemed so appealing, because of the beauty of a free market, where capitalism is doing things the right way before it becomes a monopoly, but after the whole thing where people don't want it to grow too big and then there's not enough competition and then products don't get better, it's like stagnant. In between stagnation and monopoly is a really good area to be for people. And a lot of Android phones have gotten really good. My brother, Borlando or Gopher Trace, as he's sometimes known, I should have called him Darley Che for Charlie Day, because he was like neurotic pitching that Nightwing series. Good twist, though. Good twist, but neurotic nonetheless. He swears by Samsung all the way. Our other brother, Woos Brillis, couldn't care less. As soon as he gets a phone or a device, he just doesn't want it to change or update once he knows how to use it. That's fine. He's already like an 85-year-old man. Teach me how to use it. Don't ever change it. So if you can get him on an infrastructure, he's pretty much there forever. He's just not going to rock the boat. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. One of the phones he had, its battery wasn't broken. It's just he had the phone so long, even though the battery was in perfect condition, it wasn't overcharged, it wasn't wet, it just couldn't maintain a charge at all. He used the phone until the parts literally fell apart, not out of misuse, but just age. That doesn't happen very often, especially for a guy who was like finishing high school at the time. You're supposed to be really irresponsible. He was not. But it makes me want to hop onto a Samsung device, although I don't actually like their operating system that much, so I would probably almost certainly hop on a Pixel 3 or 3A. Then again, the 4A looks kind of nice. It doesn't matter. But I want to be able to play a game on a nice, bright screen with a battery that lasts a while so that I can play a mobile game. And if I want to, I can play a legitimate game. I could be playing Gears of War with my buddies on my phone while one guy's on a PC and another one's on an Xbox One, and the other one's on the new Xbox Series X Ultimate Monolith Edition. That's a wild future we're walking towards. But Apple's need to control everything and competitiveness with its, because while they're not direct competitors in the gaming world, as far as technology goes, Windows and Apple are always pretty big competitors. There's the Mac and PC commercials all over again. But now, the Mac, he's not Justin Long. He's not a nice guy. He's kind of douchey. And it's sort of similar to the reason that I shied away from Sony products in the past. And I'm not saying you have to do either one of these things. If you say, screw Microsoft, I'm sticking with Apple all the way, I love their products, that's totally your prerogative. You're the consumer. You do what you want. If you say you love Sony and PlayStation and you're going to do their stuff, go for it. That's 100% your thing to do. I certainly love a lot of things that both of those companies have made. I love the new God of War. I love the Uncharted series. I love a lot of stuff they're doing. Detroit Become Human? Amazing game. Super cool. I wish I'd come to more things. But Sony has kind of been kind of a dick. Like, we kind of own Spider-Man, so he's never going to come to your platforms anymore. We are going to talk down about the Nintendo companies, and their products, and Microsoft and PC, because screw Steam and screw Windows and screw Nintendo. We're the top dogs. We sold more consoles. And Xbox doesn't care about selling consoles as much as getting you into their infrastructure in one way, shape, or form or another, which is what this kind of leads to. And in fact, it wasn't until Google showed up and said that they're going to change things with streaming and an insane infrastructure that we saw Sony admit that it needed help from Microsoft, and they had to actually make an unholy alliance. But because of their general dickishness, I'm never buying another Sony product in my life. Like, I'm doing camera stuff, so if they have a better camera lens or something, obviously, you've kind of forced my hand as the superior product. But as far as games are concerned, I'll just watch my buddies play it, or I'll see a playthrough, or I'll just read the, Wikipedia about it. I won't be buying it and I won't be playing it because I don't feel like giving money to a company that thinks that it's so well regarded that it can just be a dick to everyone else and people will still buy their stuff. I'm not going to stick with an abusive boyfriend because, hey, girl, we deserve better. And I feel like Apple is approaching that, at least in this regard, where they've cornered the market for so long, they kind of forgot how to sell themselves to people. Because I think while their brand had the staying power of we're the best before, other companies have caught up in a pretty big way. And for a lot of the things you care about, there might already be a product that does it better. Now we have devices within Google's ecosystem specifically that do you can unlock your laptop if you use Face ID or the equivalent on your Pixel phone. You can text people from your laptop now. You can integrate across multiple things. Like the walled garden used to be kind of an exclusive idea to Apple, but now others are creating their own gardens, and theirs lets you customize the user experience a lot better. It's a double-edged sword, though, because when you give users the ability to alter things, people can make things less optimized and sucky and less efficient. And it can lead to a muddled overall quality of content. But, thank you, Roxy, but it also gives you the freedom to do new things and integrate with new, companies and brands and apps, and that might be what some people want. Some people may prefer the constant quality of content. Some people may want freedom. They don't like being told what to do. And if you ask my wife or my siblings or most of the people I've gone to college with, I really don't like being told what to do. So maybe this is just that firing back. If you were raised by parents that made you thank them for giving you chores, yeah, you'd probably have a problem with that too. I'm sure the military didn't help with that sentiment. So, now it's up to you as the consumer to think, is Apple the good guy? I think maybe they have a right for what they're doing in the Fortnite, scenario. Maybe if more information comes out, we'll find out. Maybe not. But I think a case could be made either way. As far as the gaming integration and streaming games, they're intentionally making it as difficult and unoptimized as possible for everyone else who's already ahead of them to compete in that area. And that's the opposite of what the free market is supposed to do, which means that we may see people who I already know, a lot of people online and in person, that are considering switching over either their laptop or their tablet or even their phone to a non-Apple device just so they have something that can do all the things that their Apple products can't. Time will tell if this does anything to their bottom line or if we even hear about it if it does, but maybe they'll open up and be friendly, or maybe they'll just double down on their Steve Jobs way of, I know what people want, people don't know what people want. Even if they complain, eventually they'll warm up to it. Because in the past, they've been right about it a lot of the time. So, this has been another episode of the Poppycock Podcast. Thank you for listening. I hope you found this as insane as I did. Because, boy howdy, this has been one of my favorite things to cover because it is just weird. It impacts us in a very real way, but it's also silly enough that it's not going to change our lives. What do you think, Roxy? Don't eat that. I don't know why she was trying to eat it. But yeah, I think this has been just one of the silliest and weirdest slap fights I've ever had the joy of getting to research and report on. So boy, I hope it continues some more. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. We can't wait to make more content. Tune in for the next episode where we talk about whether or not Google Stadia has finally lived up to all those promises it made back before it launched in 2020. Is it rad, sad, or bad? Well, you're going to find out because I bit the bullet and jumped into the ecosystem for you. All right. See you whenever you're listening. Or you'll hear me whenever you listen to it. I don't record these as a video. That would be silly.
I'm almost out. I'll be back.
You've been back enough. I'll be back.
Yippee-ki-yay.